Going live.
All
Two
right,
places.
we are live. I think I
We are
am.
live.
Anyway,
I'm
hello,
live.
everybody. Welcome to another live recording of the greatest Star Wars podcast. I think we'll get started in just a second. Corey, are you gonna do the intro for this one?
I'm gonna do the intro for this one. Wow,
I'm just
that's an honor.
asking. Do you
No,
want
I
to?
will. I will. Because you did the last one, so it's only fair.
Mm-hmm.
It is only fair. All right. How are you feeling about the intro? Do you want it to be like high energy? Uh, do you want to acknowledge the fact that we're blurry on each other's video versions here because we're recording each other through Discord stream
Mm-hmm.
capture to each
Yeah.
other? Like,
I think high energy would be good. Let's not talk about the blurriness. Just not even acknowledge
okay.
it.
All right. But now we already have.
Mm-hmm.
So let's restart the streams.
Okay. Eventually.
Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tapcaf Transmissions. Today, we are going to be talking about the Bad Batch episodes 3 and 4. So that is The Replacements and Cornered. I'm your host for the day, alongside your other host for the day. I'm Corey. He's Eckhart's Ladder. How are you doing, Eck?
Can't complain. Feeling pretty groovy today. Excited to be chatting some Bad Batch. How about you?
Are you feeling as groovy as the guy driving the truck, though?
No, I'm not on drugs, so no.
Is that the subplot that we didn't all pick up on, or we should have all picked up on? But
Yeah, like the what species was he again?
Ubaz?
Yeah, he was clearly he was just vibing out. I'm not gonna speak dirt on his name.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he could lose his job if you say too much like that. So let's try to not cast aspersions that we can't back up. You don't know how Pantoran libel laws are, so
Yeah, we're
let's,
not gonna be that kind of podcast. I don't think.
but we've already had an episode talking about episodes 1 and 2. So we are going to be talking about both episode 3 and 4 here, covering all the major points, some of the minor points. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. And
Yeah,
well, is there anything you want to talk about before we get into that?
I was just thinking this might be the way to do it. Like where we do like one live every 2 episodes. I'm thinking maybe. Depending on like, because like this episode alone probably doesn't need a full stream, and like last episode alone probably doesn't need a full one maybe. So I don't know.
Well, if we did them individually, they'd be much shorter episodes, I think. So there is that.
Yeah.
And we probably then wouldn't do another book episode every week. So it's really just whether we want to do the shows every week or the books every week, or if we alternate those. So that's probably something we'll figure out off the podcast, because there is one episode that's coming up next for sure for episode 66. This is episode 65. So next time we're going to be talking about the Revenge of the Sith novelization. That'll be next Thursday.
Did you start it yet? It's good.
I have not. I was going to start it, but I didn't. I've read it before, but
Yeah. No, I started just my run, and it's still good. Holds up.
I want to see if I can find any more of the information or the lines backing up the fact that Kit Fisto clearly survives in the book. So
Yeah, I'm gonna be looking for that, because to be honest, I don't really remember it. So
it's absolute bullshit based on nothing. But yeah,
Okay.
could be.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's what we thought was the case with Akbar Winter, but it turned out that was true. So
No, that was clearly in the text. Just we thought it was unintentional. Where what we learned there wasn't that it was supported; it was that it was intentional. Like it was always a thing. But
fair enough.
every time you take for the audio listeners, every time you take a sip,
Is it
of
that
your
loud?
drink,
Shit. I've
no,
got
it just there's so much motion that the bit rate on the video just goes to shit. It looks like we're trying to censor who you're drinking the coffee from.
You mean Red Coffee Cup Incorporated?
Hey, it's not as ubiquitously known outside of Canada, so
No, it's true.
we gotta
I
keep
do have
product
a
happy.
I do have a I think they call it a burp key on my mixer, so like I can you can't hear me when I hit it, and it's obviously for if you need to yell at your family, or like do something illegal, or like make really loud noise. But you can also use it if you're going to slurp coffee. So if it's loud, I can just do that. But
Well,
shall we hop right into it and start with episode 3? So, guys, we're gonna, as we kind of alluded to at the beginning, we are gonna be covering both of the recent 2 episodes. Um, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
that's probably good because they're kind of like, sort of like a little arc. They're both sort of getting the, what's their ship called again?
Shuttle.
It's kind of a generic name.
I didn't even realize they named it. That's how generic the name is.
Yeah, they mentioned it a couple times. I think they mentioned episode 3, Bad Batch Shuttle. It's called the, what is it? Havoc Marauder. So, pretty generic. It's an Omicron class attack shuttle, which is canon only. I think. I don't think that ship ever appears in Legends, does it? Because I think it's unique to the Bad Batch, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's also a Digimon, so
It's the mega form of Lambdamon, but it kind of reminds me of the shuttle. Reminds me sort of the one Palpatine has in Revenge of the Sith.
right.
I can't remember what class
Is
that
that a
is.
Theta or a Mu that he has? I think it's one of those two.
Yeah, Palpatine shuttle RTS. That is a Theta. Yeah, it's kind of it's actually quite similar. Just looking at the images, it's like the Theta has just got a bit shorter of a top wing. So yeah, very very similar. Definitely fits the design kind of of that era. Except now the back gunner seat is a child's play lounge or bedroom.
Thanks, Rika.
Rekka. But
You have out of the 2 episodes, which is your favorite?
I actually really liked both episodes for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So like this episode was like, it reminded me of a lot of episodes from the Clone Wars, just done a lot better actually. Because Pantora was a really cool planet. Like visually, it was really incredible. I feel like we actually got like a good look at like, an alien culture, although, Pantorans aren't that different from humans. But it just felt like it pulled off something that the Clone Wars tried to do a lot and usually got bogged down in like whatever bullshit of the week. So I really like that, but and I do like, so it's kind of interesting because both episodes sort of, in my opinion, are setting up one of the main enemies that they'll be fighting all season. The other one's setting up the Empire and Crosshair's new squad. And then the last episode is setting up the Bad Batch, Fennec Shand, who's probably, I'm guessing, I'm not sure what your thoughts, she's probably working for the Cameos, I imagine.
Yeah, I think that's my guess as well. Mm-hmm. But like with the replacements, do you think that they're going to become characters in their own right, or are we just going to kind of have them around as kind of fodder for the first fight with the Bad Batch, and then they're kind of gone?
I mean, that's a good question. I was kind of wondering that myself too, because they were like visually quite distinctive. Like, felt to me like you were supposed to be able to tell who was who just by looking at them, which is not always evident when you get like soldier characters.
Yeah.
But we also didn't get any names or anything. They didn't really differ a whole lot in terms of like personality. So yeah. What do you think on that? I'm not sure.
I don't have high hopes for like survival for them. And I think part of the choice to not give them the names there is intentional because you still want to have, like, they're trying to set up the Empire as being this name, like, faceless thing. Mm-hmm. Or everyone in it is just faceless, part of the bigger machine. And I did like when they introduced them talking about how the one who ended up getting shot by Crosshair had like the reasons that he joined and why he would choose to fight for the Empire, even though he then, by the end of the episode, we see how his reasoning is flawed because Crosshair is just willing to shoot him and the Empire does see them as disposable. Yeah. But his family might get a pension or something, so...
Yeah, it was interesting too because a lot of them seem to be, I don't remember what exactly it said for him, but a lot of them did seem to be like Clone Wars era soldiers. Because like they talk about like what are they going to do now that the war is over. So we don't really see, aside from like whenever we go to like I don't know, Ryloth for example, you don't really see like the non-clone kind of defense armies or whatever. So it's kind of cool. Yeah, because they're not clones; they're just regular people.
Yeah, like they've got to be pulling these initial soldiers from somewhere, so it makes sense that we'd be getting people that are kind of pulled from local PDF forces essentially, and especially seeing the contrast between the ones who end up joining the Empire versus some of the ones that end up starting that way but becoming the core of what would later be Rebel cells, like Saw Gerrera is. So we are seeing both sides of the Rebel formation and the Empire formation.
You're right, because Saw Gerrera was basically just Onderon's like defenders. So
yeah.
Plus, like it is interesting because in the Clone Wars we don't really see very many. Like you do have a few examples of like non-clones in the actual Republic military, but they don't kind of go like only on a few ships really. Other than that, and the Jedi, obviously.
Yeah, usually just like commanders are all we see.
Yeah, like
Yularen. Or...
There's that other one, the one who's like a giant dick who gets stranded on the planet. Do you know what I'm talking about? I can't remember his name.
One of the admirals?
I can't remember if he's an admiral or a captain or something.
Is that the one from like the training missions? I think that's Coburn.
Yeah, that might be right.
It's someone who you can get in Fall of the Republic as a command staff option. So,
But yeah, so I thought that was interesting. I hope if they are gonna keep like because it's possible for Crosshair Squad they just become the 5 kind of elite looking stormtroopers behind him or whatever. But
yeah,
I kind of do hope we get a bit more about them.
Do you expect that we get the Crosshair stuff resolved, the Fennec or the Crosshair stuff resolved in the first season?
My
guess, do you think that both of those are going to go on for multiple seasons?
No, my guess is eventually, like I think there's going to become a point where like we get Fennec chasing the Bad Batch, and they're going to do like the enemy of my enemy type of thing. Like the Empire is going to go for Fennec at the wrong time, and the Bad Batch and her are going to team up against them probably.
Yeah, especially if she's working for the Kaminoans, and we're seeing that some of the Kaminoans are at least uncomfortable with the Empire. Some of them are even actively working against them in favor of the Bad Batch.
Yeah, because she might have other orders too to like help them if possible. Because it's obvious that her first orders are to capture Omega. Omega. I can't even say her name. Yeah, Omega. Hunter. Or Wrecker.
Hunter.
But that was a good one. But she might have alternative orders to protect them, or like if she can't save Omega, to at least, or she can't capture, at least protect her from the Empire.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised
because they do clearly want her alive. So if Crosshair's gonna try to shoot her, then
yeah, I mean, like they let her go. They helped her escape in episode 1. So
yeah.
At least one of those long neck fucks did. I can't keep them straight.
Yeah, I don't know any of the names of the
ones. Is it one Lama Su or?
Well, Lama Su is like a movie character, so easier to keep track of her.
Yeah. But
then there's the other one that actively let them leave the planet. I know Alex knows all their names, but we can't all be Kaminoan experts. So
fucking nerd. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I do like how. So that's clearly going to be one of the kind of main plot threads. But like, what do you think? They can't have the whole, even the first season, just be them move planet from planet trying to survive and having a new encounter per episode. So what do you think the main kind of?
You don't think they can do that? I think they can do that.
Well, I think they can do that.
That's largely what we're gonna get.
But I think they need some motivation. Like, I don't think it can be every planet they're just going to just try to survive. Like, I think they've got to have some sort of goal they're working towards.
Well, I think the main thrust of it is going to be trying to survive, and then whatever the planet was that there's like the ATTEs on that they're dealing with, that's going to be probably where the like final arc takes place.
Was that was the maybe Naboo planet, wasn't it?
Yeah, it looked like Naboo to me, but whether it turns into like them trying to capture Crosshair or some bigger thing to escape Fennec, maybe that's where they take refuge and they're trying to kind of escape from there. Because we know there's at least two more planets they're going to based on the.
Oh, there's got to be a lot more than that.
Yeah, but I mean just like based on what we've seen explicitly in the trailer. There's like the planet with the Venators, which is possibly the same planet as the one with like the larger sand monster, which I originally thought would be Seleucami, but is apparently not. And then there's also the city planet, or like the city-ish planet where they've got like the ATTEs. So we've got at least those two.
Yeah, we're running out of trailer footage, which is nice. Like,
Yeah.
Disney Plus has actually been pretty good about keeping their trailer stuff to like the first quarter or third of a season,
Right.
which I've really enjoyed.
How many episodes are there in the season? Is it 16?
I believe it's 16. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we got 12 left, and you got to assume a couple are going to be in the same place. But
Yeah. We could also have some more long ones. Like, who knows, really?
yeah.
Kind of the nice.
What planet did they say they were going to be going to at first? Where they were just going to hide out before Tech pointed out, like, actually, we don't have any supplies.
I don't remember, but it was like an uninhabited
don't?
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anything else specifically about the first episode you want to bring up? I mean, there's Crosshair's a dick. We know that. That was like the main takeaway. Is like he's just killing everybody.
Yeah, I think it was a comment I saw in one of my videos or something, but someone said like, they'll find out at the end of the season he doesn't actually have a chip at all. Mm-hmm. He's just a dick.
So, what do you think about this whole Wrecker? Have you seen this theory that Wrecker's his chip's going to activate?
I've seen like the stuff about head trauma leading to that's why his isn't functioning. But I don't know. I feel like there's already enough set up as like the conflict between the Bad Batch and Crosshair, and now we've got Fennec as well outside of that. Like, I don't know if you need another one of them to turn to bring to kind of bring the story around with more of the chip stuff.
Yeah. They are
like maybe it'll cause some problems for themselves, but like I don't think they'll have someone fully turn on them.
They are setting Wrecker up as like the number 2 to Omega, though. He's like him and Hunter really are like her favorites.
Yeah. Part of that is just we've seen so little of Tech and Echo as characters. We got a little bit more with Echo in this episode, but it kind of like a lot of what we've seen so far is how are the Bad Batch adapting to life as not soldiers. And the first thing we really see with Echo, the first moments he gets on his own, he's sold off as a droid, which he doesn't enjoy. But then, like, he gets called back into action to get back to the ship. They need to fix the ship. They need to rescue Omega. And he's, like, back in military mode commanding the droids. So we're not really getting much of Echo actually adapting yet.
I think maybe, what if one of their... Because we know at some point they're going to find Rex. So maybe one of the big things this season will be they try to find Rex to get their chips out once and for all to be safe.
Yeah.
Maybe he has like, Wrecker has like a little like lapse or something where like he goes Order 66 or he goes under the chip's control for a few minutes, and that kind of leads them to have to search out Rex. That would be my guess anyway.
But what would the chip activating really do outside of the presence of maybe a Jedi or something? Like, would it make him immediately heel turn on them and fight them? Or like does having the chip active just turn them into just a wild, violent thing, or does it make them more amenable to orders that they get? Like, if they get told by Tarkin at that point to do something, does that mean Wrecker's going to do it? Or is he just going to be more naturally inclined to just punch Hunter in the face or something?
It's hard to tell because Cut, like, his chip should be active, but he's not doing anything, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Like, well, he probably just said, I'm on break, so he doesn't have to execute Order 66. He wasn't even around a Jedi, so who knows what it does if you're not around a Jedi when you get the order.
Yeah, maybe it happens in the middle of battle or something. And
yeah, because it doesn't make sense that it would just turn them into droids that have these pre-programmed orders that they're going to follow. You'd think it would be more about like making them actually follow the orders when they get them, or like tripping when they get those specific orders. But
yeah, I do find it weird that they have to actually hear the order apparently now. Like, I always imagined it just being like 5G'd out to everybody. But Palpatine like called them all
Yeah, and when I say like they'd have to hear an order to it, like punch Hunter in the face or whatever, I do mean whether that's being
Yeah.
audibly told or just having someone be like, "Oh,
Someone
Wrecker's
points a
active. Let's
laser
Demos
pointer at
him."
him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
does he like download the latest firmware update or something when they're
Be
in
evil now.
feed?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's possible. Hard to say, but yeah, that's a it's kind of nice. Same with Mandalorian, like that's kind of the benefit of having the trailers cut this way. It's like we've got no idea. Like I had no idea what was going to happen this episode before it happened, which is kind of nice.
Right.
Because I mean, it's the same with the Clone Wars when you start a new arc. I do suspect that we will at some point get into like a more traditional 3-episode arc or like series of arcs in this show at some point, but
Yeah, we've got enough room for basically 4 of those to start now because like we've been introduced to a lot of the characters. Uh So maybe there will be like a Fennec arc that actually takes place now where it's like Fennec the villain, Fennec the ally,
yeah.
Crosshair, maybe in between those, and then the final Crosshair arc, and that'll be like how the next ones get divided. But
Yeah, that's possible. Or we get like we get the Rex arc at some point, I imagine. Like they're gonna have to do like at some point do like a heist or something. Like
yeah, I really hope that Fennec and Crosshair don't turn into like the Team Rocket of Bad Batch, where they have to show up in some way every episode, which so far hasn't been the case with Crosshair. So that's good. He got like a good amount of focus on him, but we're not overstaying our welcome with that. So I do feel like having him just be bad guy McEvil face for
yeah.
a bunch of episodes in a row. Like we get it. This is what he's doing. This is the squad he's got. Maybe see another set of it next episode or the episode after that. But like, keep developing Tech and Echo, please.
Yeah. No, I agree. Do you think we're gonna get Boba?
I hope not.
I think we are, but like I was expecting him to be at the end of this episode. I know
Really?
he's just a teenager, but like, or I don't even remember how old he is, but he's old enough to be running around with bounty hunters now because that's what we see in the cut episodes and whatnot. So
are you expecting him to be working with Fennec in some capacity, or?
see, I wouldn't be surprised if she like reached out to him because she knows that he might have some insight into how clones work based on like his DNA.
I'd have to rewatch their stuff in Mandalorian, but I kind of hope they don't have a pre-established relationship from that. I'm not sure what would be better there. I just feel like there's too many chances for like people to overlap in ways that like once they're established to have a relationship, you just go back in time and then have them do everything together rather than have it be Boba found Fennec and that's where they got together in Mandalorian rather than jumping 30 years earlier.
I saw a few people on Reddit and Twitter saying that, and just now in YouTube comments say that Boba doesn't meet Fennec until the Mandalorian, but I don't remember him actually saying that. He may, but like Star Wars is such that like you can really there's a lot of wiggle room for stuff like that.
Yeah,
like, you can make things work if you really wanted to.
Yeah, like we've got Boba in the Mandalorian, we've got Book of Boba Fett coming up. Like I don't know that we need more Boba.
No, I agree. We definitely don't. I'm not going to be disappointed if he's not in it.
Yeah, same thing with like if Ahsoka were to show up in this show, where I'm not sure it won't happen. I kind of hope it doesn't. And like maybe that's how someone's chip gets activated because they're hanging out with Rex and Ahsoka, and then Wrecker decides to attack her. But
Wrecker, no. Yeah.
Because like if Dave Filoni's going to put another Jedi on it, it's probably going to be Ahsoka.
Be nice to not get any Jedi cameo for a while.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind that.
That'd be nice. But gotta have another fight scene with Ahsoka and Darth Maul, I'm sure. We're gonna get Kenobi, so we don't need Obi-Wan. If Obi-Wan travels with them for like 6 episodes, that's too far.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like who else we could get in like what other Clone Wars characters we could get in this. Any thoughts?
Pong Krell is coming back. No, I don't really think there's anyone that jumps out to me.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like I'm kind of hoping that they'll be establishing some more characters, and because like we already know we're getting Rex and Wolf and
What about
those
Cad
guys.
Bane? What could it be? Cad Bane she's working with?
That would actually be kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be as opposed to that as Boba.
And
Like,
then you could
I feel like we're
still
gonna get enough Boba.
technically
We don't need
tie.
more Boba.
You could still technically tie Boba in if you wanted to, with the
Yeah.
whole Cad Bane, because he kills him in the unfinished episodes or whatever.
Yeah, and maybe like next season, if we've resolved the Crosshair stuff, get another one of the commanders that didn't leave.
Mm-hmm.
So whether that's Cody or someone else, that could be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like we don't need another villain for that in season 1. Like we've already got Fennec set up, we've already got Crosshair set up. If we bring in someone who's like Cad Bane and more on the level of Fennec and just working with her, that makes sense. But anyone beyond that, for like allies, we already know we're getting some. Villains, we already know we're getting some. If they're going to bring anyone else in, I'd kind of hope it would be new characters.
There are like a lot of bounty hunters that they could draw from. Why am I forgetting her name? For the one who's in Phantom Menace, the bald one. Why am I forgetting her name?
Baldwin and Phantom.
The one who
Menace?
hunts Jedi, the woman.
Darth Maul?
No.
Oh.
Why am I forgetting her name?
Aura Singh?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if
Was she was in Clone Wars, right?
I think so, yeah, a little bit. I think so. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we get some decks. That's who I would really like to see.
Yeah, that'd be fun too.
Yeah. Anything else that you really want? Oh, I know who. I meant to say this. I know who I think is going to show up. Hondo.
Well, obviously Hondo's going to show up.
Mm-hmm. At some point.
He can't not be in shows.
Mm-hmm. He's even in Rise of the not Rise of the Resistance, the Falcon Ride at Disney Plus, or Disney Plus, Disney Star Wars Land, whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah, like speaking of Resistance, there is one character we need more of, and that's Clink, who's like one of a few Resistance crossovers for this one. Well, it's not the same character; it's the same droid model.
See, I didn't actually know that until somebody pointed it out, because I didn't watch that much Resistance, so.
Yeah, the cute little armed and legged astromech droids it's a Resistance creation. So
it kind of points to, like, in my opinion, how unpopular.
You people watch Resistance.
Yeah, because like he blew up like after showing up, and like the people who watch Resistance are like, you know that Clink like is the droid type's pre-existing, right? I'm like, shut up.
What's the name of the station in Resistance that some people were like super big on showing up in Rise of Skywalker?
Oh,
Colossus or something?
Yeah, the Colossus, the big refueling station or whatever.
Yeah.
I wish Resistance had been good, because I really love the art style for that show. I know a lot of people didn't, but I thought it was really nice. But that's a kind of controversial take, I think.
Yeah, that was most of what I heard about it, was that people were turned off by the art style, but I actually really liked it, and I haven't watched it yet. I do intend to. I'm just shit at keeping up with stuff.
It's just Resistance is also just more unapologetically a kid's show.
Yeah.
Where like a kid can watch Clone Wars or a kid can watch Bad Batch, but like it's not it's kind of show that can be reasonably enjoyed by adults as well. And I'm not saying Resistance can't be, but it's not designed with that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. But we see a lot in this episode in particular, episode 4, of like the Bad Batch being kind of bad people. Like, not bad people. They're
doing what
we're
they
starting
gotta
to see
do.
them struggling to adapt to life as civilians, and the fact that they're not just like the things that they're doing have consequences. They're not just fighting droids anymore, and that's all they're up against. The things that they are doing to accomplish their new mission parameters are costing other people. Like the Gran that is just trying to run his shop, to scam him out of 3,000 credits, steals a speeder.
That guy dies. The guy, they're not their fault.
Fennec is like straight up murdering 3 people on the
Someone
chase.
said it's
So
the
Hunter's
same model they used for both speeders. So the guy gets speeder jacked twice because apparently they accidentally or whatever reused the art asset for him. He's having a real shitty day. I like to imagine that it's not actually a mistake. It's just the same guy just having a really
Same
bad
guy.
day.
Loses both of his cars. He had a backup. Like the first one gets stolen. He's like, it's okay. I'm gonna just go and get the other one that gets stolen, and he gets chucked out by Fennec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also too like the at the very beginning when they land. I don't know why, but I love hangar scenes in Star Wars. Like I just find like it's really interesting. There's lots of good storytelling you can tell in like docking bays. I find it funny how they land and the guy's like asking for a bribe and they just have no clue for the first few minutes.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't have to tell anybody, and he's like, and they're like, okay, sick. It's like, no, like I don't think you get it. Like, pay me.
And they play him with Republic credits. That's going to be useless soon.
Yep. Well, I mean, you can get your chain code and get your 1 Republic credit to 0.5 Imperial credit conversion.
I keep wanting to call it blockchain. Like the Empire's just big into crypto.
All Republic credits are worthless. Dogecoin is the only.
Palpatine just spends all his time on r/Doge.
Palpatine tweeting too much and crashing the Imperial crypto market. All Republic.
Tells Tarkin before he goes to Camino, we don't need those Caminos. I've got all of GameStop stock.
I just bought a bunch of new GPUs. We'll install them on Hoth or something. It'll be epic. Don't worry.
The Death Star was originally just a big mining rig, like they claim in X-Wing.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's like
Just a different kind of mining rig.
people say mining. They think it's because it's got the big laser. No, it's because it's just full of 2080s or 3070s maybe if they can get their hands on some.
Yeah.
Even
That's why no one else
Palpatine can't.
All the Wookiee slaves are just installing all the GPUs.
Yeah, I like that.
That's what Loi's parents do on Kashyyyk and Young Jedi Knights, right? They work in the computer factory. That's why the Wookiee slaves
true.
were taken, because they all know computers so well.
Yeah, working in the computer factory, they're like those like WoW miners where like all they do is like farm gold all day or like leave fake reviews on like the Google Play Store.
RuneScape fish.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you see Chewbacca just with like 10 Chewbacca's dad with like 10 iPhones in front of him just like leaving fake reviews for different apps.
Screen's broken on this.
Oh man. Classic. I don't know how that relates even tangentially to the episode, but it's a fun discussion to have.
I did think it was kind of a step up in the kind of violence that they're willing to show on compared to what you get in Rebels and Clone Wars. We're like, yeah, we see clone troopers and droids blowing up and getting shot all the time, but usually in like full body armor or maybe a soldier falls down or something. But these are like civilians that Fennec just shoots, then the cops that she shoots and they explode.
It's different when you can see their face.
That's at least 3. Yeah.
Yeah, and the last episode too, with the civilians murdered. Usually like Star Wars won't do that. Like just kill civilians.
You can't see them on Alderaan.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, you know, that's why they're stormed. Like that's why it is a clone war versus clones versus droids, because it's you know the least gruesome way you can have a galaxy spanning war. But yeah, in the last episode they kill civilians with flamethrowers. Another option is to have bugs. But in the last episode they kill people with flamethrowers, and this one people are getting shot in the chest and stuff. It's pretty brutal because like in something like the Clone Wars, she probably would have shot at the guy and he would have just fallen off his bike. Or she would have.
And then we'd show a shot of him on the ground, like leaning up, rubbing his head because he bonked himself a little bit. But no, that dude's just dead.
I thought it was really kind of random how they cut to 10 hours later, his family getting the note from the city police office, and just the 10-minute shot of his kids crying was pretty dark.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for the bribe thing, that's something I wanted to mention. Was like, it's easy to get annoyed at Omega for falling for Fennec's thing, but she's like, I've probably done that shit as a kid, like just trusting an adult I shouldn't. And I got lost a few times. Like, I can relate to a lot of what she's doing, but it was that dock worker or the hangar worker or whatever his title would be that tipped off Fennec. So like, really Wrecker and Tech are more responsible for this than Omega is.
Yeah, I think that I do think that's kind of the point as well.
Yeah, none of them knows what they're fucking doing.
Yeah, even like Hunter is kind of clueless.
Yeah.
Like he just lets Omega walk away. Like,
Yeah.
like I have a kid. I would never take Gus in a store, go buy something, and just have my back turned towards him for 10 minutes. Expect him to be there when I turn around.
Yeah.
That's being a parent, you know? And
Especially if there's going to be a cart full of puppies that drives by. Like that's
yeah, that's like designed to steal children. I thought they were going to be loth cats for sure.
No.
Yeah. One thing I want to talk about.
It's another Resistance thing. So
Okay. One thing I wanted to talk about was the action was really good, especially between Hunter and Fennec.
yeah.
Like one issue the Clone Wars has, especially with Jedi, is it's very like jumpy, where like it's like really quick slashes. It's very stylized, but they started to move away from that in season 7, like with the Ahsoka Maul fight, because a lot of that was actually like choreographed and I think it was motion captured as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're motion capturing this, but like the knife fight felt pretty brutal and like pretty grounded, I guess, you know?
Yeah. Well, this is the first episode of Bad Batch that Dana's seen. I watched it with her this morning, and she's seen some Rebels. She hasn't seen any Clone Wars, I don't think. And like she's generally been a fan of Rebels, but with this, she was kind of put off by some of the visuals.
Really?
Like the models, I think she was saying looked less organic, and same with the motion, where I think it is still a bit
Clone
not
Wars-y?
choppier, but yeah, more Clone Wars-y than Rebels-y, which I don't honestly notice too much of a difference there. But it was apparently enough for her to kind of to stick out to her as being a lot more inorganic, both in the visuals and in the actual animation.
I imagine some of that maybe because the backgrounds and the lighting have improved so much. Like if you watch like even anything up to season 7 Clone Wars, like the character models aren't great, but the backgrounds are like also not, you know, they're not bad or anything, but in this, like the lighting is crazy. They're doing lots of stuff this season with like soft lighting in the background, and like one thing they can do in this show that like they could never really do well in the Clone Wars except in very limited capacities is like having very dark scenes. Because they trust their lighting to kind of carry them through it, and there's a lot more like I noticed too. There's like a lot more lingering cinematic shots, like the one where they're flying into Pantora. That's the name of the planet, right? Pantora.
Yep.
When they're flying into Pantora, like if you pause it and look, like there's a whole like they rendered the whole city out. It's got if they've got, you know, a clear kind of dense district in the middle, then they've got like the kind of less dense streets towards the outside, and then they've got like a wall, and then beyond that they've got like farmland and huts, and then mountains in the background, and it's crazy like how much work they're putting in for just like a single cinematic shot that's not even really reused. So I think part of that, maybe the characters have certainly improved, but they're probably the lesser part of the art, in my opinion. So maybe that's why she's noticing.
Yeah, like I kind of want to go back and watch the Pantoran scenes in Clone Wars, if not the whole arc, then at least like some of the establishing shots, and kind of see how that's changed. Because I do like the way the planet looks in general, so it'd be nice to just look at it again, anyways. But I think that'd be kind of interesting to compare.
I thought it was Zygeria from the trailers. I think there were a lot of people that pointed out that it was Pantora, but I thought it was Zygeria because it looks sort of like Zygeria, and there's one shot in the trailer with like a Zygerian slaver and his whip. But yeah, I don't even remember the Pantoran arc from the Clone Wars, if I'm being honest. Isn't it somebody's daughter's? Is it George Lucas's daughter's kidnapped? Isn't that something like that?
I forget. I just remember that it did exist, and there were politicians in it.
It is George Lucas's character in it, isn't it? I think.
Is he the Pantoran?
Yeah, he is. He's the Pantoran in Revenge of the Sith. I think he's.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
See, I was looking. I wonder if they George Lucas, not Lusky Papanoida, and yeah, he is the one. I think. Yeah, he is the one in the show. I wonder if they got him in this episode anywhere. But
one of the things that I liked about this compared to Clone Wars, it is a bit more grounded. So I don't think his character would.
But I mean, he's just a fat. He's not even fat. He's just a really regal, large-looking Pantoran. Like,
yeah, but there weren't any regal-looking people here. It was just the folks on the street, and like all the regal people would have been kind of overthrown.
That's true.
And like everyone,
I don't know, because
Pantorans do seem to be.
Do you think they would be overthrown? Because by the time of Revenge of the Sith, he's like, because that's when he's in the movies in the Opera House. So I imagine he might have.
Yeah, I guess he's probably pretty close to Palpatine. But like a lot of the planetary leaders get kind of pushed aside, and even the senators for the Moffs and governors.
Mm-hmm.
So something definitely happens between now and slightly after Yavin, at least for the Pantorans. Because like the Pantorans seem to be always very Imperial because you can play as one in squadrons, but on the Imperial side. But I think it's in the same system as Ordo Plutonia, right? It's a moon.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it is a moon anymore.
Fleet shows up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because that's where the rebels are in some story, but
yeah. I don't know. I don't know if is Ordo Plutonia the homeworld of the Is that because there's Ordo Plutonia? Isn't there just Pantora as well though? I thought.
Well, there's Pantora, which
is the moon of Ordo Plutonia. I think maybe.
Yeah,
that seems to be. But I don't know. I don't know if it was a.
Plutonia have a different species on it.
Yeah, the Tals.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the one where they go. Yeah, because that's in the Clone Wars as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I have to rewatch the episode at some point. But yeah, someone pointed out too the architecture. It does kind of have like an Islamic look to it almost, which I thought was kind of cool and different. Because they have like lots of domes and kind of like repeated styles, and yeah, it was really cool.
It is a really visually nice planet.
And the streets too, I thought were really well done. They had like a good density to them and stuff. Overall, just like, yeah.
It's what I like about Clone Wars and Bad Batch in particular. Like, there's the Order 66 shots in Episode 3 where like there's so many planets that are so visually different.
Yeah. And
Clone Wars was really good at setting up some extra ones like that. Like Umbara is so visually just distinct, and Pantora is kind of in that same direction now as well. And I love when they're able to kind of establish all these different places instead of just, it's desert number 3. Like, even if they are similar biomes in some ways, there's you can immediately tell like, oh, this planet is Umbara, this planet is Pantora, this planet is Cato Neimoidia.
It's kind of crazy how much like it's like the 2 minutes of Order 66 or like it's like 1 minute of film time, like how much that expands the universe and like how much relies on that 1 minute. But I feel like ultimately the Clone Wars as a TV show and really all of Star Wars media have kind of failed to capitalize on like that promise, because like in those shots too we get there's walkers, but we also get like a variety of different clone troopers. We have like each planet has like a unique walker. We've got that the Trident on that one planet, which is like the one with like all the legs, and then there's the open transport on the other one, Felucia, and it's just like
the UTAT on Megiddo.
Yeah,
like everything.
I don't think George Lucas, when he was envisioning the Clone Wars, I don't think it was his idea that every like that they were just using ATTEs and whatever across the entire galaxy. It reminds me of like when I read a Halo book, and it's like if they're going anywhere, like if they're on an army base or in a city and they're going anywhere, it's a Warthog. It's like he got to the airport and a modified transport Warthog picked him up. It's like he went to get the groceries in his civilian Warthog because it's like everything has to be like tied into like the games. So yeah, I wish that like there's no reason. I mean, the reason is money. You can't just willy-nilly model new assets to use once. But I don't know. I wish like they were a little less afraid to like show us, oh, this is some different clone tank, or this is a super ATTE, or like you said, even on a planet level to get a little weirder with like, this is a genes planet. Genes grow here.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
The biggest culprit there is ships.
Yeah.
Like ships are always just the same thing.
Yeah.
The Clone Wars is entirely acclimators, vendors,
Few Corvettes.
peltas, and architects.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it introduced like the subjugator. That's cool. And there's the stealth ship, but like, there's so many more opportunities for other things to be done, and it's just kind of sad that it is. Oh, we get the Invincible and Providence dreadnoughts, so same ship, much bigger. That's always fun.
Yeah. That is true. But I always think about the ship stuff too. Like, again, there's no. Just because we see it in the movie doesn't mean that has to be like the defining feature of the military. It's like maybe that's what the Coruscant fleet was like because it was Coruscant, but maybe like, yeah. That's what I'm excited to see the first, because at some point we'll see a capital ship, probably for the Empire. And I'm wondering at this point whether they'll have like a Grave Editor like they had in the end of Revenge of the Sith, if they'll have like an Imperial Star Destroyer, maybe something new. I don't know. That'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, like I do understand the financial
for sure
limitations there, so I don't necessarily hold against it. It's just if I was to pick something I want to see a lot more of, I just love to see more ship designs come in.
Yeah, especially for the Republic, where they do have this kind of cool style, but we get very little of it. Like, I don't know, it'd be cool to see some other Republic Star Destroyers or whatever.
Yeah, like the Clone Wars in particular, the faction aesthetics are so well defined and so interesting compared to, like, I like the period visually more than I like the original trilogy. Like, I like the tone of the original trilogy that comes from it, but I do love like CIS ship designs. So
yeah, I liked I will say we did get one new design in this episode, I guess, which was Fennec Shan's ship, and I kind of liked that. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I assume we'll be seeing some more of it at some point. If not, they probably would have just modeled the inside of it.
My big question coming out of the episode is the guy an Ugnaught or a Celestian?
That dude's a mess.
I think he's supposed to be an Ugnaught, but
really?
I think so.
He would have been pretty tall for an Ugnaught, but it's definitely possible.
Well, he would have been pretty short for a Celestian, but there's also the whole like some things have Celestians being half a foot tall.
4 feet, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could be a new species or something. Who knows? Probably not.
An Ugnaught Celestian mix. But like he's got the hair, which is usually Ugnaught territory, right? Because I don't think we've seen any hairy Celestians.
No, I don't think so.
They're just smooth Ugnaughts. That's what they're called in the core.
It's really racist, actually. Did my camera get flipped here somehow? Hold on.
I don't think so.
Okay. Anyway, I hope we see Coruscant at some point. Speaking of core, I don't think we will, but it'd be nice. Like, I don't think we will because this show seems to be focusing a lot more on like small scale stuff and like what's going on with the Bad Batch versus like the Clone Wars, which is more about like the politics of the galaxy and stuff. But it'd be cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've got so many shows coming. Possibly not including Rangers anymore. Who knows? But
I hope it's still, man. Yeah. I don't necessarily. So we should have probably talked about that at the beginning.
It doesn't say that it's no longer in production. That one thing that was said in that article was not currently in active production,
right? Which
could have just always been the case because they were talking about stuff that was 5 years down the line there. So I don't know that it necessarily means anything at all.
Yeah,
like, there were a few things this week that are just like complete non-news that got super blown up beyond any reasonable proportion.
Yeah, the first thing being the Dave Filoni thing, where it turns out everyone was like, "Oh, Dave Filoni got a promotion," but apparently he's had
a year ago.
Yeah, a year ago. And then the other thing was in that same article, actually, from Variety. The Variety covered the issue in their article, and they talked about how Rangers of the New Republic is not in active production. First of all, they could be wrong. Like, it could be in a writing stage or something, rather than like. But even if it's not, it maybe like they're working on a lot of shows. So like,
yeah,
it could. Just
most of those shows, I'd assume, are not in active production. It's just they're covering so many years of content.
Yeah,
it's like Captain America 7 isn't in active production yet either, but it will be.
Yeah, and plus right now we know they're working on, I think, at least 3, because they're working on Cassian, they're working on Obi-Wan, and they're working on they're probably working on Mando and Book of Boba Fett.
Boba Fett.
Yeah, and
And
probably
probably
even
still Bad
season
Batch
2 of
stuff.
Book of Boba Fett, to be honest, as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we could still definitely get it down the line, but there's only so many volumes and so many LA studios and London studios and whatnot. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, especially for like all the live action stuff, they do have more limited resources for that.
plus it's also probably in their best interest to stagger releases, because if you're gonna blow
Yeah.
your load on all your Star Wars releases in 1 year, people are just gonna unsubscribe.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything even suggesting that it would be within the next couple of years when they announced all those shows. Like that was basically the entire phase of the MCU announced at once. Like that's all it really is. And we know that Rogue Squadron is going to be coming out for a while.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to assume that like all the shows have to be out before then.
No, I agree. I agree on that. I'm glad we covered that because I completely forgot.
Yeah.
But yeah, two really good episodes. Which one did you prefer, do you think?
I think I liked 3 the most. Like I did enjoy 4, but the thing that I'm still looking for a lot is the development of the Bad Batch themselves as characters, which I think 3 did a really good job of setting up more of the broader stakes for them as individuals. Whereas 4, we did still get a little bit more of Wrecker, a little bit more of
Wrecker!
Hunter. And I did like that we got a scene with Echo.
Yeah.
But I'm still waiting for kind of Echo and Tech to get a bit more development themselves. And I don't think we really got anything on that front that we didn't get out of episode 3. So that's why I prefer episode 3.
I feel like what we'll get at some point is like an episode maybe where like one of them breaks, like just fails or like can't do it or something. And like I feel like that could be something for Tech, where like he's always so stoic. Like he doesn't say anything more than he has to. He doesn't mention things if he thinks it's not obvious. Like so.
Yeah. The other thing Dana pointed out with the show is like, oh, Tech's just the droid of this show right now. Even though Echo's spot in this episode was being sold as a droid,
and we have Gonki as well. Gonki's been in every episode pretty much. Like maybe not the first one, but that's his name. His name is Gonki.
But he's not really a character in the way that like K2 is the best droid.
No, but it is
I
nice
was hoping
to
we'd
have.
abduct Clink, but we're not getting
I thought at the end they were going to take on the droids, which I would have been cool with, because the droids are nice to have as like, because they're not full characters, but they're nice to have as like just like they help make the crew feel like a crew. I don't know. I do like
everything together.
Yeah, I do like that we have a Gonk droid, but we got room for more.
It's finally getting the respect it deserves.
I want a Treadwell droid.
Do
you know what those ones are? They're literally like a tread with like a pole and an eye on the top. It's like Luke had some. There's like a deleted scene from episode 4 where Luke's hanging out with the Treadwell droid.
All of his friends were already gone to the academy, except for the ones that were waiting at Tosche Station.
Yeah, all my friends except these 5 here. It's like it was just Biggs who left, dude. Like, chill. Rekka.
Well, was it just Biggs? I thought
there was Tank, I think, is one of the other ones.
Yeah.
Because they say that's what you said when Tank left or something.
We'll see how the moisture harvest is. I think we're going to get a lot of droplets this year.
How about you let me fly to Alderaan and I'll fill up some water bottles? Like,
well, they're using the moisture to farm. They're not just farming the moisture, so they have to come back with.
I don't know. I think they're farming
the moisture, but I think aren't they also farming like other shit too?
I always just figured
just the moisture evaporators.
Yeah, I always just figured they were just getting the water, like they were just pulling it out of the air, I guess. Like I don't know what you need Luke like
machines won't automatically collect water without you.
Yeah,
he's got to do the maintenance. That's why they needed R2.
Yeah,
that's why he wanted the droids. And Owen needed someone to play like lawn games with. That's why I asked 3PO if he plays bocce.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. But yeah.
All right.
Yeah, just bring some water bottles back. I mean, maybe they were farming other things. They do have some plants in their little huts, the little holes in the ground.
Yeah, because I can't imagine they'd have that land and then they're just doing the moisture farming. They have to
I
eat
don't
some.
know. I they probably just eat sand.
I don't think they do. All right. Anything else about the episode before I suppose we should look at our questions.
Yeah, let's look at some questions. I checked reviews. We didn't really get too much, guys. Just a reminder: if you want us to read your reviews of our podcast, leave them with 5 stars and give us some humor. That will really help. And yeah.
Yeah. The first question is from Matrix, who asks, in episode 3, Replacements, we saw Crosshair having his own elite squadron to hunt down the Bad Batch. Do you think the squad could somehow evolve into the first elite Death Troopers, or even reintroduce Shadow Troopers from Legends?
Yeah, I've seen this Death Trooper one go around. I did a video sort of on it, like looking at the similarities of like Death Trooper armor and their armor. I think that's definitely possible. It'd be cool because like the whole idea of Death Troopers is they are like genetically altered, so I think it makes sense that maybe the first Death Troopers were based on like a clone that was himself genetically altered. So, although with Death Troopers they do it after, like they're not altered before birth, but they're like Spartanized and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, possible.
I don't think we'll get them as any kind of like explicit trooper types. That's usually left for
That'll be in a book somewhere.
Yeah. But it's possible like the armor will be like shoved into line with something. Like we still don't know if there's going to be fodder at some point because who knows how long they're going to last, and maybe they won't be suitable for elite troops. But they seem to be being set up by Tarkin and the general, the admiral.
What's his name again? Admiral
Rampaging Rhino.
Rancid.
Admiral Rancid. Yep.
Alex had a good point. He put a video out that I watched after I did mine, and I had to change my title and stuff because it was too similar. But he also pointed out that it would make sense if they're Death Troopers because that's kind of like a Tarkin thing.
Yeah.
And we also hear it's Rampart, I think.
Yeah.
We also hear whatever that project is that he mentions in Rogue One. So
makes
sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I've starred the other 2 Bad Batch emails if you want to read one of them.
Sure.
And then I'll read the other.
Yeah. So Joel says, one critique about the series is the transition from Republic to Empire happening far too quickly. Do you think this is true? And what are your thoughts about the transition in canon generally? Do you want to cover that?
Yeah, I think like what we've seen so far hasn't been super out of line or super fast, because like the main thing is that we've seen the Empire get declared, which is something we already knew was going to happen. We've seen we've seen them starting to change the currency, and we've seen them starting to shift the army. So it may seem like a lot. Yeah, like these are the kinds of things that they would be doing right away as the war ends, like reorganizing the army however they're going to, because they're going to be demobilizing anything. So that'd be the time to make those shifts. I don't think that what we've seen so far has been too fast for any of it.
Yeah. The chain codes thing is kind of interesting. I like that because that is something like a newly created fascist government probably would do. Is like literally try to track everybody down and keep them under their thumb. So yeah, I don't know if it's been too quickly. It is I don't like necessarily that clones are out in like a year after the Clone Wars. But yeah, that's whatever. I don't lose sleep over it.
Yeah. I think the other question that I had started is probably better saved for the for the episode 3 discussion anyways. So if there's anyone who has sent in an email and we haven't gotten to it, unless it was explicitly about Bad Batch, we'll be getting to it next episode, which will be next Thursday. Anything else you want to touch on before we head off into the Pantoran sun?
No, that's all for me. Fun 2 episodes. I'm excited for number 5.
Yeah. Should be fun.
with that said, goodbye, everybody. Again, you can check out the podcast on pretty much anywhere that you can find podcasts. Make sure you leave a review. And yeah, see you guys next time.
Thanks for watching, and may the Vulcans salute you.
Goodbye. What the fuck? The Vulcans salute you? Is that even a thing in Star Trek?
No.